Upon first viewing of Home With You, directed by FKA Twigs, we are presented with its underground light show, transitioning into an illusionary world filled with abstract tableaus. Considering herself to be a dreamer and as someone who's always lived in her head, Twigs infuses her creativity and yearn for experimentalism, from her first LP1 album to Magdalene, recently released in 2019. Ranging from gospel tones to convoluted visuals, Home With You uses a temporalization of sound and fragmented narrative to fit an avant-garde audiovisual form, while recontextualizing the cultural figure of Mary Magdalene in order to reflect Twigs' own inner turmoil. The beginning of her music video opens up to rhythmic drumming, overlapped by electronic beats and synthetic sound waves. A reverb effect occurs the moment she begins singing, while her vocals blend into the background of slow, melancholic piano instrumentation.
I'm so wild for it, seen it, tried it, I die for you.
As the song progresses, the music transitions into gospel sounds, but are then interrupted by abrupt techno noises, interjecting with the flow of the melody.
Didn't know that you were lonely. If you'd have just told. Get it on exciting.
To the listener, this rapid change in audio appears more confusing than it is amusing, due to a lack of coherent sound structure. Through the process of vococentrism, the music is overlapped by Twigs' voice, spontaneously attracting attention away from the core rhythm.
Stoking all the fires in the center, place and light, call me later.
S.D. Scheinberg writes on how the concept of noising up the vocals has become part of 20th century experimental music. Through her use of seemingly digital glitches, Twigs' music detaches from the concept of realism and rather gives audiences the experience of listening to her contemporary use of avant-garde effects. And thus, through her use of digital glitches, Twigs' sound reinforced the connection between popular genres of techno and the avant-garde. It is common knowledge that Twigs' music video departs from normalcy. That is, it does not rely on a linear, chronologically based system of sound and storytelling. Filmed in two distinct narratives, the opening begins with a handheld camera movements and extreme close-ups of bodies twerking against each other. These scenes are interpolated with black screens, lasting barely half a second, but enough to cause confusion in the viewer as the eye attempts to settle on one specific image. The video almost requires multiple viewings in order to comprehend the messages that Twigs attempts to convey. On writing about fast footage within music video, Kaplan writes that the precise images can only be grasped on repeated viewings, by stopping and pausing to get the full shot. And once upon pausing the video and observing the still images, we can see that her visuals act on a less conscious level, as Twigs is seen at night with one missing eye and reveals it later in a different time and space, appearing completely disassociated with reality and bringing forth surrealism. It is true that while watching her music video, the viewer loses a sense of time, space, and reality through the distortion of sounds and visuals. As noted by S.D. Scheinberg, Twigs' work contrasts her groove with a different sort of non-teleological time, more often found in avant-garde music, in which there is an impression that time has stopped altogether. Her use of making the audience lack coherency in following the structure of her video can thereby be interpreted as Twigs' way of losing her own sense of time and space while trying to heal her inner turmoil of pain.
Learned apples, cherries, pain, breathe in, breathe out, pain. No, Novocaine, still me.
Thus, Twigs' work provides a space for avant-garde aesthetics to take place through specific sound trajectories and narrative experimentation, while her use of abstract audiovisual elements account for traditional avant-garde tropes through her radical representations of art. As noticed by Kaplan, her practices detach from classical realist forms, refusing to remain safely within the dominant ideological constructs of reality. However, it is interesting to view Twigs' curation of an avant-garde body of work, seemingly detached from classical realist forms, while in contrast simultaneously embodying the persona of Saint Mary Magdalene, who is referred to in her song lyrics and title of her album cover. The cultural context surrounding who Mary Magdalene was remains blurred to this day. At a most basic level, she was referred to as a disciple to Jesus, who had followed him and remained faithful until his death and burial and beyond. However, modern readings of Magdalene in the Bible view her as a publicly scrutinized figure of whom 7 devils were rejected and whom wrongly held God in contempt. While Twigs' relation to Magdalene appears detached from one another, in 2013, Twigs was publicly scrutinized for dating actor Robert Pattinson. Through the degrading comments flooding her social media, she writes, "I am genuinely shocked and disgusted at the amount of racism that has been affecting my account the past week." End quote. Thus, Twigs' reference to Magdalene in Home With You perhaps foreshadows her own connection to Magdalene's public scrutiny in appearing alongside a powerful male figure. It can therefore be interpreted that all of Twigs' gospel and choir-like tones biblically allude to the cultural context surrounding St. Mary Magdalene. And as acknowledged by Steve Jones, representations within music videos may be altered not only to fit the creative needs to present what seems real, but also to present the unreal, a reality specific to visual communication that exists apart from physical reality. To conclude, FKA Twigs alters her sounds and creates a fragmented narrative structure, inadvertently bringing about an avant-garde audiovisual form. Yet her cultural reference to St. Mary Magdalene gives insight into the convoluted story reflecting both the cultural figure and Twigs' own life. Her song therefore acts as a conduit to her inner pain, while bringing forth a music video that stirs away from mainstream content and rather lets audiences absorb the unfamiliarity of experimental art.